Hello, all of you. I'd like to introduce you to the syllabus of the MA Previous Examination, University of Kota. And since you all are not from the humanities, I'll try and explain what the syllabus is all about, and then you people can decide what you want to do. Now, we have four papers at the previous level, and we have five papers at the MA final examination level. So this is a total of 9 papers. And at the previous level, you've just got to do the first four. Now, the first paper is grammar. And many of you have lost touch with grammar completely after you did your 12th and all. You've forgotten what grammar is all about. And many of the topics that you will have to do at the previous level, this syllabus is of a mixed kind. The first paper is grammar, and we are discussing the syllabus of grammar right now. So, the first paper is of a mixed kind. Some of the topics you have heard of, others you don't even know what they are. So let's look at the syllabus right now. The first unit is a topic called Phonetics and Phonology. It has everything to do with the way you pronounce words. Okay, for instance, you don't say literature, you say literature, and there's a reason why we don't say literature or temperature, and we say temperature, we say literature, and there are reasons for it. And phonetics and phonology is a topic which looks at the sound system of the English language. So you have that. And as a choice, you also have another topic called morphology. How words are combined together. For instance, we say kindness, goodness. So that's a combination of good plus ness, kind plus ness. Or you say beautiful, beauty plus full. So, how words are formed. So, that topic is morphology. Now, both these topics will be new for you all because you all have not done this at the school level. Then we have another unit called SPOKA, subject, predicator, object, complement, adjunct. Now, this is all new for you all. You all don't know what all this is. And once we learn the SPOKA, what is SPOKA? SPOKA is like, suppose I want to build a house. So I get the bricks, the cement, the wood, the iron. I get all these things together. They are lying in a heap outside. But they have to be combined together to form the house. Similarly, we have elements in grammar which we call subject or verb or object or complement or adjunct, and we learn to piece them together into meaningful sentences, and that is your SPOKA and sentence patterns. So SPOKA is simply this. You recognize what is the brick, what is the cement, what is the wood, what is the iron, what is this, what is that. And then you learn to piece them together. There is a way in which they are pieced together to make meaningful sentences in English. See, there's a difference in the way we make sentences in English and Hindi. We say, मैं, I, खाना खाती हूँ. And in English, what do you say? I eat, khati hu. Food, khana. So in Hindi, we are saying मैं खाना खाती हूँ. The action, खाने का action is at the end. And when you make that in English, that खाने का action is coming in the middle. I eat food. So there's a difference in the way the sentence is constructed in one language and the way the sentence is constructed in another language. So this is all about sentence patterns. So all these are new for you all. Then we have a bit of translation. That will be an unseen thing. Nobody can teach you that. You'll go to the examination hall, you'll get a question paper and you will be told कि इसको हिंदी से English करो. This is a Hindi passage, translate this into English. So that's on the spot. You'll have to see the thing in Hindi and you will have to translate that in English. You don't have to do word to word. You have to read the sentence. If you're able to translate it, go on to the next sentence, and then, if you get stuck in some sentence in between, you can leave that and jump to the next. Overall, you should have made a paragraph which contains everything that is contained in that Hindi passage. You'll have to translate that into English. Now, this should be fairly easy for you all. This is not something that anybody can teach you. Because first of all, time is short. Secondly, even if we had 2 years to do it, this is something which will be unseen, and a good student of MA is expected to know both Hindi and English enough to be able to do that translation. So this is it. Then we have a topic called stylistics. So they give you a prose passage and they ask you to discuss the style. So you have to know some basic things, and I help you out in that by giving you some ready-made material which you can just learn and you can just go and answer that and come. Stylistics. You will have a poetry passage. You will have a prose passage. So these things are going to be absolutely new for you all. Then you have what is known as word stress. Stress, when a non-English speaking person speaks English, it's very difficult to understand what they are saying because their stress is all wrong. So there are some rules to word stress, and we will be doing those. It's one of the most difficult topics in English, but I have made a few very, very basic kind of rule, and so when you follow those, you generally get them right. So these are the things that I will be teaching you in grammar. There is a certain portion of grammar which I will not be teaching you. For instance, I will not be able to sit and teach you articles a and the, fill in the blanks with a and the, each, every, both, all, some, many, much. This, if you are coming for MA, you are absolutely expected to be able to do this. This will be part of a choice. And so these are the things: active and passive. Tenses. Now, tenses, however much somebody teaches you, there are no rules. English is a language. If you're able to speak, you're able to do those sentences. If you speak all wrong English, you will not be able to do that, and that is not a teachable thing. That is something that a student learns if he or she speaks English fluently. So the major components of this paper will be phonology, phonetics, which is a long topic, and I have tried to make it as simple as possible for you all, and I have a few videos on YouTube regarding this, and they are all unlisted right now, but I'll make the links available to you all if you all decide to join. Then morphology, word stress, these are things you all don't know. You all do not know stylistics. You all do not know, let's say, spoka, sentence patterns. So these will be my area of focus, and I will be doing these things with you all. I am not going to sit and do active, passive, and determiners and tenses and things. I don't do that with the main batch, and I expect that the students should be able to do these on their own, or else they leave that out when it comes to the choice. Because I have also given a lot of notes in which, all those one line questions from the question papers, they are all discussed and things like that. I'll discuss the question papers after you all decide whether you want to join or not. So, this is about the first paper. Now, let me give you a brief idea about the second paper. And since you all don't have the notes, and since you probably haven't even bought the textbooks and you don't need to buy the textbooks, if you decide to join, you won't need to buy any textbooks. You'll just have to get the notes Xerox, which will be more than sufficient for you all. In that case, you can just prepare the notes as I give you, and not very many notes. I'll tell you exactly how to answer to score well. How you have to answer to score well, and you'll have to do a little bit of learning up. My language is very, very simple. I keep the Hindi medium students in mind to prepare the notes, but I also keep the cream of my batch who are good English medium students from, let's say, Sophia, etc. And so for them, I prepare a set of notes. I make it available to the Hindi medium students. I make it available to all students, and then it's a matter of choice that how you learn to combine. I'll teach you how to combine in order to score well. Now, paper 2 is about Shakespeare and the other writers of Shakespeare's period. I'm sure you all have heard of Shakespeare. All of you have heard of Shakespeare. So, Shakespeare and his contemporaries. Contemporaries means all the writers who belonged to Shakespeare's time. So, now this paper has poetry, this paper has drama, this paper has essays, and this paper has long poems. For instance, the first text in this paper, this is Chaucer. You begin with Chaucer. The name of the paper is Shakespeare and His Contemporaries. But because the first major English poet was Chaucer, a poet called Geoffrey Chaucer, so this second paper begins with Chaucer, and we have a text of his called Prologue to the Canterbury Tales. So we will begin with that. It's a poem of more than 1000 lines. Now, nobody can teach you those 1000 lines in class. Nobody can do it. And in the whole syllabus, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4, there will be many poems, each of 1000 lines, which means if we start doing those lines in class, you will finish your syllabus in 3 years' time. You're not going to finish it in 1 year at least. So the texts are not taught in class. What is taught to you? Whether you come to me for a month or whether you come to me for a year, it doesn't matter. This is what I teach you. I discuss the entire story in detail. For instance, I'll do the entire story of the Canterbury Tales. I'll tell you the background to Chaucer. I'll tell you what Canterbury is. I'll tell you the whole background to the Canterbury Tales. I'll explain all that. I'll tell you all the key points of the Canterbury Tales. And then you will get notes, and you will have to read through the notes, and wherever you get stuck, the language of the notes is simple, even then I will do a translation for you in Hindi if you like, so that you don't get stuck anywhere, or whichever way. That is something that we can work out, that you read this and then I can help you out the next day or some such thing, or I can prepare a video and give it to you where you can follow the notes. So we'll do this. Prologue to the Canterbury Tales. That's a poem, about 1000 lines. Then there is another text by Chaucer called The Knight's Tale. So that is again a long poem, 1000 lines. Then we come to Shakespeare's play King Lear. So you have King Lear, you have two plays of Shakespeare. We don't need to do both. We can do only King Lear. So King Lear is again a very, very long text. You can't do any of the texts in class. No text will be done in class and no need to do them also. So I'll discuss the entire thing. It is drama. You'll come to know everything about Shakespeare, about Lear, about the theme of the play, about the major features of the play, whatever they are, and then the character studies. You'll get notes on those. That's how it will go. Then you have a writer called Edmund Spenser, and Spenser is a poet of around Shakespeare's time. Around Shakespeare's time. This whole second paper of yours is the time of Queen Elizabeth in England. So Spenser wrote a very famous text called The Fairy Queen, and he wanted to praise Queen Elizabeth. He wanted to praise her. So he wrote this text, The Fairy Queen. It is about Queen Elizabeth, but he has changed her name. And so this whole poem follows. Fairy Queen. Then around Shakespeare's time, there is another writer called Christopher Marlowe, and he wrote a play called Dr. Faustus. Now, this Dr. Faustus, the whole story, the background, what it contains, the age, everything, that is also part of the second paper. Then after this, we have Francis Bacon. He was an essay writer. He wrote a number of essays. We will not be studying the essays, but we will study the contents of his essays, and in a question answer kind of thing, how will you answer? And then we have the poetry of John Donne. John Donne is a poet, and John Donne's poems we'll be having, and we've got the notes of all the poems. I'll tell you the background to all the poetry, and you'll have the notes. We will be doing them in class over videos or over Zoom or whatever is going to work out for us. And this will be paper 2. Now, how are they going to question us? Each paper carries 100 marks. And let me tell you one thing right at the beginning. Out of these 4 papers, if you clear 2 papers, you are promoted to final. You don't need to clear all 4, but you have to. If you're coming for tuition, you have to clear all 4, and you will absolutely clear all 4. Otherwise, next year it will become 5 papers of final and 2 papers of previous. Even then you will pass. But you should not be aiming for pass. You should be aiming, if you're coming to me, you should really decide that you're going to learn up. You will work as hard as I make you work. I'll not give you endless amount of notes to study. I'll give you limited material, but I'll tell you this has to be, crammed, because I'm doing all the story with you in Hindi and English mixed. And so it should be clear to you. That is the aim. So if you decide that you will work, then you can decide to join me. Because if you get, and most of my students get 55 plus, if you get 55 plus, then you are eligible for NET in English, college lecturership. So I've just given you a brief idea of paper 1 and paper 2. Y'all can make up your minds and y'all can get back to me. Okay? God bless you.